December 2, 2001. In a glass tower in Houston, Texas, a company worth $60 billion ceased to exist. Not slowly, not quietly. In a single morning, the employees who had trusted Enron with their retirement savings, who had been told weeks earlier to buy more stock, watched everything they had built disappear. This is the story of the most spectacular corporate fraud in American history. This is the story of Ken Lay, Jeff Skilling, and the company that invented a new way to lie. Ken Lay grew up poor, the son of a Baptist minister in rural Missouri. He understood hardship before he understood business. He earned a doctorate in economics. He climbed through the American energy industry with quiet patience. And in 1985, he founded Enron, born from the merger of two modest gas pipeline companies. The vision was simple: move natural gas, build infrastructure, create something lasting. But Ken Lay wanted more. He didn't want to run a pipeline. He wanted to own the future. In 1990, a man named Jeff Skilling arrived at Enron's headquarters. Skilling had a Harvard MBA and a McKinsey pedigree. He was the kind of man who genuinely believed, that he was the smartest person in any room he entered. He proposed an idea to Ken Lay, a new accounting method, something called mark-to-market. The concept was elegant and lethal. Under mark-to-market rules, Enron could record the estimated future profits of a contract the moment it was signed. Not when the money arrived, not when the work was done, the moment the paper was signed. Sign a 20-year energy deal today, and book the entire projected profit today. On paper, the company looked like a miracle. In reality, the numbers were a story, a very well-told story. Through the 1990s, Enron remade itself. It stopped being an energy company. It became a trading platform, a technology company, a broadband pioneer, a global water supplier. The stock climbed, then climbed again. By the summer of 2000, Enron's shares reached $90. Fortune magazine named it America's most innovative company for 6 consecutive years. Analysts loved it, investors trusted it, business schools studied it, and 20,000 employees poured their retirement savings into Enron stock because their CEO looked them in the eyes and told them everything was fine. But behind the polished glass and the soaring headlines, something was being built in the dark. Andy Fastow was Enron's chief financial officer. Quiet, methodical, brilliant in ways that were never meant to be admired. Fastow constructed an elaborate web of off-books companies, entities that existed for one purpose: to make Enron's losses disappear. Every failed venture, every underperforming contract, every bad debt. Fastow's shadows absorbed it all, hidden from investors, from regulators, from the world. The balance sheet looked immaculate. The company was bleeding out, and Fastow used the same entities to pay himself millions, secretly, from the company he was supposed to protect. This was not recklessness. This was architecture, a deliberate design machine built to steal at scale. By early 2001, one woman inside Enron could see it. Her name was Sherron Watkins, a vice president, a former auditor, a person who understood what the numbers were and what they refused to say. In August of 2001, she wrote a letter directly to Ken Lay. She told him the truth. She warned him that Enron's accounting was a fraud, that the company could collapse under the weight of its own deception. Ken Lay gave her letter to the lawyers. The lawyers worked for Enron. They found nothing wrong. The machine kept running. Jeff Skilling resigned as CEO the same month, August 2001, citing personal reasons. Analysts were confused. The stock began to fall. Then, in October, the Wall Street Journal published an investigation. They had found the shadow companies. They had found Fastow's name written into structures that had no legitimate purpose. The SEC opened a formal inquiry. And the dam that had been holding back years of lies, broke. In 60 days, Enron stock fell from $33 to less than $1. Employees who had been locked out of selling their shares during a company-mandated blackout period, while executives quietly unloaded their own, watched $400 million in pension savings become worthless. 20,000 people lost their jobs. The corridors emptied. Security collected the badges. The lights went off floor by floor, and the building that had once stood as a monument to American ambition became the most famous ruin in corporate history. Arthur Andersen, one of the most respected accounting firms in the world, was convicted of obstruction of justice for shredding Enron documents during the investigation. 89 years of history gone. Thousands of Arthur Andersen employees, who had nothing to do with the fraud, lost their careers. The radius of destruction was total. Now the karma. Andy Fastow cooperated with prosecutors. He admitted everything. He served 6 years in federal prison. Jeff Skilling, the man who believed he was the smartest in every room, was convicted on 19 counts of fraud and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 24 years. He served 12 before his release in 2019. He walked out of prison quietly, an older man, into a world that had long since forgotten him. And Ken Lay? Ken Lay was convicted on 6 counts of fraud and conspiracy in May of 2006. Sentencing was scheduled for October. He was facing 20 to 30 years in federal prison. He never arrived. On July 5, 2006, just 6 weeks before he was to be sentenced, Ken Lay died of a massive heart attack. He died at his vacation home in Aspen, Colorado. Some called it an escape, the ultimate evasion of accountability. Others said the pressure alone was the sentence. Because in his final weeks, Ken Lay knew. He knew what was coming. He knew what he had done. He knew that the man in the mirror, the devout Christian, the philanthropist, the pillar of Houston society, was a fraud. He spent his last months carrying that knowledge. And it killed him. The man who urged his employees to trust him, while quietly selling his own stock. The man who preached integrity from a pulpit built on lies, faced his judgment, not in a courtroom, but alone. Enron is gone. But the cost of its collapse lives in the families of 20,000 workers who trusted a corporation with everything they had. Greed does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes wearing a suit, a smile, and the word innovation. And when it finally falls, it takes everything with it. If the story stayed with you, the next chapter is even darker. A man who claimed he wanted to save the world. A cryptocurrency empire worth $32 billion. And a collapse so sudden, so total, that even the people closest to him never saw it coming. Subscribe now and make sure you don't miss it. Every week, a new story of karma, consequence, and the price of greed. This is Karma Unleashed.